Hello and welcome along to the stream tonight. I hope that everybody is doing well. So, as a uh, point of clarification, so hey Nils, last week I didn't do a stream, and that's because my eldest child tested positive for COVID. So we had to self-isolate. So unfortunately, um, there was a few cases in her class at school. She picked it up, and she's doing fine. We're at the tail end of the self-isolation period, which is good. Everyone's doing fine. Happy to say that we've been doing regular tests, and we have both my wife and I have tested negative, so that's good. So we will be able to get to the end of this self-isolation period, and we will be able to go out again. So yeah, last 8 days with 2 children, a dog, a cat, and a wife in close proximity. it, it was fun. Happy to be getting to the end of it. Thanks, Calvin. And yes, I'm glad to hear it too, Nils. So, in terms of what we're looking at tonight on the stream, the idea is to pick up where we left off 2 weeks ago. So 2 weeks ago, we were working on the VSCode extension for Cake, and basically we were ripping some bits out. So with the 2.0 release of Cake, which is in release candidate 2 at the minute, we have broken some things, hence the 2.0 release. We're removing some support for some deprecated runners. We're making some changes in terms of target framework, etc. So this release of the Cake extension for VS Code is basically to bring that up to speed with what is supported and what's available. So one of the things there is we've been looking at what commands are available. So if we go to the Cake extension and you say set up debugging for .NET Core CLR, that's no longer supported. It's not a supported route anymore. So we will be removing that command. Other kind of changes is really the impetus for this change though was all around Cake.bakery. So we have pushed out some new versions of Cake.bakery in the last week or so for better support for IntelliSense. Now historically with the VS Code extension for Cake, installing the IntelliSense support was an additional step and you had to know to do it. So what we worked on last stream, I was going to say last week, but it wasn't last week. What we worked on 2 weeks ago was having it automatically install the Cake.bakery support and then update the Omnisharp configuration file to just light up IntelliSense out of the box. So we got that part at least rudimentarily working. Rudimentarily? Is that a word? I think I just made up a word. We had basic functionality working for Cake.bakery support. And where we got to at the end of the last stream was kind of some tidy up stuff. Now, one thing that occurred to me, and I was going to hope to get some clarification from Nils, who I saw in the chat room. One of the things that I was looking at was if I run the Cake extension now, so I'm running VS Code and I'm debugging. I've just hit F5. So for those that don't know, you can run extension development host version of VS Code, which is basically VS Code bootstrapped with your compiled extension then loaded into the process, so you can play with it as if the extension were installed. Freestyle Coder, thank you very much for the raid, appreciate it. VS Code extension development happening on stream tonight, so if you're interested, feel free to stick around and ask any questions that you might have. One of the things I noticed, Nils, if I go over here and I hit F5, which would start the debug process, so I don't have a launch.json file at the minute, so if I choose .NET 5 and .NET Core, I'll get a blank, or I'll get a launch.json file, and then from there, we can add a configuration that is for Cake. So in this example, I could say I want to add Cake.NET Core .NET Tool support for debugging, which is what got added here, right? But one of the options that was there was, if I do that add configuration again, is there's a debug script for Mono. Now, given that we are removing support for the full-fat .NET Framework version of Cake, i.e. there's no longer going to be a chocolate package, should we also do the same with the Mono support and say, well, we're going to remove Mono from the extension also and favor only the .NET Tool version of Cake? What are your thoughts on that one? See, that's what I thought too. So I think we should just do it. So if we close this extension development host, and if we do a search within this extension for Mono, then we can see what there is and we can see about removing it. So within this section, so this section is the debuggers. So I'm going to say that we're removing this Cake Mono debugger then, and the associated configuration scripts. So that would be up to and including that one, I think. So I'm going to remove that one, which takes us back up to here. So that would leave only the .NET Tool debugger, which is what I think we want. Other mentions of Mono are in the dependencies.json file. We don't care about that. Extension settings. There's some mention of Mono over here. So iCodeLens Debug Task settings has got either Mono or Core CLR. So I'm going to suggest then that we only have Core CLR then. And then in the bootstrapper, we remove that one. What have we got left in here? Oh no, what did I just delete there? That was bootstrapper for .NET Framework, Mono on Linux and Mac OS. So we don't want that. So, but by the same virtue, bootstrapper for .NET Framework on Windows, we don't want that one either then. The only ones that we should have left are bootstrapper for .NET Tool on Windows and bootstrapper for .NET Tool on Linux and Mac OS. Those are the two bootstrapper options that I think we should continue to support. So with those things removed, what have we got in here? Cake.CodeLens, framework type of the debug session. See, that one becomes, then do we need that one? We should probably leave it in case we add in another one. It seems a little bit silly to have a debug type for only one thing, but it leaves the opportunity to extend that should we need it. CodeLens debug executable for the debug session, e.g. See, that's wrong now. That should be .NET-Cake.exe, correct? We need to test that and see that that still works for the CodeLens. Executable of the debug session, e.g. for we're going to need to play with that. Program launch command, where's that? Copy. Interface there. Extends that one. So that's what I was thinking was needing to be the case, yes. But I just wanted to go and check where that was set. Yeah, the default here is .NET Cake, and then if you're on Windows 32, it's that. So I think that terminology is wrong. Let's just see what other mention of cake.exe. That one's okay. That one's okay. I might borrow this so that we can change the terminology. That's .NET Cake. That's .NET Cake. That's .NET Cake. So there's that. So I think what we want then is, I might want to borrow all of this and then we can change it in the relevant section. So in here, the cake.codelens.debug.program executable of the debug session, e.g. that, which is really this one. So I'm going to copy that, e.g. I'm going to paste that in there for debug core CLR on Mac OS and Linux, or that.exe for debug core CLR on Windows. I think that makes more sense. Would you agree with that, Nils? On the other settings here, that's cake and that's cake. Okay. Cool. Why have I got 65 changes? What's all that? Oh, that's just cake.bakery. Don't think that should be there. I'm going to say I don't need that. Not entirely sure why that got added, but okay. I'm not entirely sure why it's not able to delete that. I had this issue last week, didn't I? Or last stream, where it was not able to delete that folder, if I recall correctly. I'm going to File, Save All. I'm going to close VS Code, and I'm going to reopen it. I think it might have been, but I don't know why. So let's quickly delete it while it's not doing anything. There we go. Okay. So that gets us back to just these ones. Okay, so we were searching for mono. Okay, so there's no more mention of mono. There's no more mention of cake.exe apart from in the context of .NET cake.exe, so that's good. Now there was one other thing that I remember doing at the tail end of the last stream to get things working, which was a setting for the launch.json, which was my code only. And I've subsequently forgotten what that is. So I'm going to go and try and find it where I think I found it last time, which was on the Cake website. Only my code, no. There was a setting that I needed to set in order to get it to work. But I've completely forgotten what it is. But if we go and have a look in the launch.json file, I might be able to remember what it is. course, I don't have it open. So let's try it here. Just my code. Now it was either true or false. And I can't remember which way around it was. One of them worked and one of them didn't. Let's test it. So I've got all this up and running. So I'm just going to launch this again. Nils is saying false is good for us. So let's put that to the test. So let's set a breakpoint here. And let's hit F5. Could not find a task build. Okay, what's that mean? That means in here, I've got too many configurations. So if I take this one off, and I take this one off, save that, add a configuration that is .NET Tool. If I save that and try and run this, then the debugging never steps into the breakpoint, if I recall correctly. It never gets there. So it's doing stuff, and it says module is optimized and the debugger option just my code is enabled. So it's not doing what we need it to do. So if I stop this again and go into here and say just my code is false, and then I debug again, and we look down here, then we get that one, which is annoying. But if we step over that, then we will get into the actual breakpoint, which is there. Okay, but there was one other setting, I think. Was it this one? If I take that one off and I say debug again, then I think we get straight to information Bob. There we go. Okay. It's fixed already, inspector.console as well as cake. What, that entry point? Or what are you referring to there? The first exception. So are you saying oh, so this is inspector console. I see. So what version of, are you saying that I should leave this one as true? Or should I take it off? I'm happy to put it back on if we think that it's fixed. I'll wait for that one. I'm going to assume that he's typing. No, the exception is fine the way it is. No need to do something about it. Okay, so I'll leave stop at entry as true then. So we will need to go in and change just my code is false. So if I close this and then search for external console, then over here, I want to add in just my code. And then in here, I want to add in just my code. So this is the package.json file. This is where we provide that snippets so that we can make things work. So if I debug that again, then this time round, when I do the initial debug session, it should work. So let's remove this guy again, save that, say add configuration, which is this one. it's now got just my code false in there. Save that, back to my build.cake file, and I hit F5. Then that's the initial step in for Spectre console, which Nils is saying has been fixed. So if I step through that, and we get to Bob. Beautiful. Okay. So the other thing I wanted to test was these code lenses. So one of the things that the Visual Studio Code Extension provides for us are these code lenses for the different tasks. So if I say run task here, this should trigger the execution of .NET-Cake.exe, passing in build.cake as the script, as well as the target name, which in this case is default. So that executed, we saw Bob, etc. And if we debug, this should be the same as using F5 to launch the debugger. So I'm going to hit Debug Task. That should have the same net result, which is to step on that breakpoint, he says. But that might be broken with the same underlying issue because it's not doing just my code. Or something else is completely broken, which is also a possibility. So cannot find PDB, compile and build script. Nodule loaded. It did something. And then did all that sort of good stuff. That's all cake, importing of the namespaces. And then those ones I think are okay. Those ones I think are okay. And then it just sort of stops with -1. So something's not quite right there. So let's find a breakpoint where we can step into that. So over on, let's close off some of these files. And let's go into the code lens, the debug task. Yeah, I'm wondering if there's additional settings in here. Oh, what's that? Debug config stop at end. I wonder what that's set to. Let's set a breakpoint here and let's F5 that. Let's just see what all these are set to. It could be that we're missing some new defaults when we do the code lens debugging. Elias? Did I get that right? I hope I did. If not, hello. But I think it's Elias. I could be wrong. Let's wait and see. Yes! I don't normally remember things like that, so I'm quite impressed with myself. Well, good to have you along. So what we're trying to do just now is figure out why the code lens debugging isn't working in the Visual Studio Code Extension for Cake. So if we were to look here, the debug type is core CLR, which is what we want. The request is launch, which is what we want. The program is .NET. Oh, that's wrong. No, that should be fine, actually. the program in this case is .NET-Cake.exe because we are on Windows. File name is ctemp-cakebuild.cake. The task name is default. Debug verbosity is normal. Fine. Current working directory is workspace root, which is what we had before. Stop at entry is true. Console is internal console. Fine. And then logging is that. But we don't have the just my code. So I think it's the same problem. So let's test this by going into here and saying just my code, and we'll say, I've completely forgotten which way around we wanted it to be now. Completely forgotten. And here, just my code is false. So let's put that on here, and it looks like we might need to bring that out as a variable in the debug config, but we'll do that if it works. So let's do this. Thank you, Nils. Just seen the chat there. Appreciate it. Okay, so we'll wait for the code lines to appear at the top here, and we'll say debug this task again. So we'll come down here, and just my code is then going to be false. So debugger config, just my code is false, right? So we resolve that, and it's going to start debugging in the workspace folder using that debugger config. I'm going to let that run through and see what it does. We get to the entry point, which is the initial entry point of cake again, and we let it run through, and we hit Bob. There we go. Okay, cool. Hey Francis, just popping in to say hello. Did you get off with the wind? So yes, we did. So what? For anyone that doesn't know, what Francis is referring to there is over the weekend, Storm Arwen hit the northeast of Scotland, along with basically the whole of the east coast of the UK. We personally, Francis, were fine. The worst thing that we had was, well, we didn't have anything, to be fair. There was nothing. My parents they had no electricity for basically the whole weekend. They only just got electricity turned on yesterday afternoon. Some of my friend, or no, so one of my cousin, she lost the roof of her garage. Just went away. It's not there anymore. One of my in-laws, or my brother-in-law's parents, they lost the garage roof as well. I went out for a short walk with the dog yesterday afternoon, and the amount of uprooted trees and broken fences, it was quite scary, actually. Like I say, I don't know why we got away with it, but we did. The amount of uprooted trees in McDonald Woods and Ellen, like hundreds of years old trees, have just blown over. It's ridiculous. So I hope that you stayed safe as well, Francis. Thanks for checking in. We were very lucky. Nils is saying, I don't think so. If you set true, debugging cake will simply not work. There's really no reason to set this to true when working with cake. Which one are you? Sorry, I got sidelined there. Nils, which one are you referring to? If we close this one down and go back to where we just were, which was in... Which one were you referring to? If you set true to debugging... Oh, I see what you're saying. As in simply don't allow this to be a configuration value. Okay, no, that makes sense. Let's maybe, can we leave a note here? Yeah, we can. This is hard coded to false. So this is for future selves. This is hard coded to false due and not made config value since setting to anything else results in debugging of cake scripts not results in not working. There we go. So we'll leave that for future selves. Francis is saying, yeah, same, no issues with us. Saw a lot of trees uprooted in Hazelhead. Not fine for the folks with power or damage. No, not at all. Like I say, it was. I was saying at the start of the stream, I don't know if you were on for that, Francis, but last week, eldest child got positive COVID result. So we've been self-isolating for basically the entire week. The short walk that I went out on was literally just to walk the dog because she was going nuts in the house by herself or being cooped up in the house. So masked up and not speaking to anybody. Didn't actually see anybody on the walk, but it was that. So we were self-isolating for the whole entire week, and then Storm Arwen came along. So it's been one thing after the other. So it's happy to get to the end of it. To be fair, it's kind of awe-inspiring when you see what nature can do that close. It really is. There were some photos of like McDonald's woods and Ellen, all the uprooted trees, and yeah, it's kind of scary what it can do. Chasing squirrels is Scotty's superpower. I do like a little sideline every so often. Keeps us on our toes. So we did that. So that means if we go back and test that again, in theory, that should be the code lens is working with .NET, the .NET Global tool, and yeah, self-isolating doesn't sound good, especially for a family with little ones. Got booster booked today, so I see that's the really annoying thing. Okay, so I had my booster booked, and it was booked for the 24th of November. So I phoned up after we got the positive PCR test for the eldest child, and I said, "Look, can I come? Can I still come along and get my booster?" And they were like, "Nah, you have to reschedule it." And it's now into the arse end of December before I'm getting my booster. I was booked to get it, and now I can't get it. What else was I going to say there? Oh yeah, and also tomorrow is my birthday, and we're not able to go anywhere. We had plans to go for a meal and stuff. That's all out the window because we're not allowed to go. So yeah, stuck in the house on my birthday. I've got a day off booked and everything. So I don't know what we're gonna do tomorrow, but I'm sure we'll find something to do. Right, so I was testing this. So let's just prove this again. So we can run the task. That works, and we do. We get Bob as the output. Beautiful. We can debug the task. We'll get the initial entry point, which is there. Nils is. Oh no, that's my breakpoint in the. Okay, take that one off. That's my breakpoint for the actual VS Code debugging. That is the entry point for cake.net cake.exe. That will be fixed in a future version of Cake, or I must have an older version of the .NET Global tool installed because Nils is saying that that's fixed. So we could test that hypothesis by verifying what I've got installed, but then we get the debugging into information for Bob, so that's good. And that's my second breakpoint, and then it completes and everybody's happy. If I close this down though, Oh, that was debugging. Okay, that's fine. So if I go up to my palette, then we can say Nils is saying, I'm fairly sure Augusto added a workaround for the exception somewhere along. It's definitely we should definitely go and test it. Was there not a command for executing a cake task up here? Am I misremembering that? I thought there was a... I thought you could run a task from up here. Oh, I see what you're saying. That's what it is. Run build task. And then, yes, okay, that's fine. I want to, thank you. So we can run that, and that should prove the entry point, which is the same as it was before. Okay, happy days. We've proven that the debugger works. So if I hit F5 here, we get into that entry point and we get into Bob, which is fine, good. And second breakpoint. And then if we do cake, install debug dependencies. What does that do again? Do we need that? Oh, that's installing .NET Core, which is, or that's installing .NET Tool, which is already installed globally. So we already have that. So let's just test to see .NET Tool list G .NET Cool. Oh, interesting. Okay. .NET Tool update cake.tool. It's not -- version, but let's give it a try. 2.0.0 -RC 002 global. I don't think it's that. Unable to find package. No, it's a dot, not a hyphen. Oh, look at that. It was right. Okay. So then, let's try that again then. So if we debug again, so we're not getting the exception anymore, but it is still taking us to the entry point. I still don't know if we want that stop on entry, Nils, if I'm honest. I don't know. I mean, it is something that people can change. I'm just wondering whether we put it off by default rather than getting it to step into the entry point. I think we want that off. I'm going to work on the assumption that we're going to turn it off. Until I hear otherwise. Copy. I think it was. I think it always kind of happened. I've definitely seen it before. I'm going to put it off. I'm doing it. I'm done it. I'm doing it. Stop at entry, type boolean default false. I'm doing it. False. False. If true, the debugger. If true, the debugger should stop at the entry point of the target. Default value is false. love that we've documented that. Stop at entry boolean, that's the definition of it. Stop at entry, stop at entry, stop at entry. Oh, we'll want that to be false as well then, because that should hopefully be the new default. There's some, it's deprecated. Use strict equal instead. We're not fixing that today. That'll be a job for a different day, because we're just going to concentrate on what we're doing at the minute. Okay, so go through that little process again. So we're going to hit F5. Oh, that's not going to work. No, that's not going to work, is it? Well, it will work, but we need to change the launch configuration that we're using, the launch.json. So if we go back up here and into here and take this guy out, save that, add a configuration, which is this one. Now the stop at entry is false. So we hit F5. Then it should come straight to information Bob. He says, there we go. Okay, so that was with F5. If we do the debug task via the code lens, then that should get us to the same point, which is there. Okay, good stuff. I think I prefer that. And then what we proved there was that the install debug dependencies were already installed. We are doing an update of IntelliSense support. So what it does is it will force an update of cake.bakery. IntelliSense support is installed. Cool. Install configuration file should be overridden. There. The cake install, we did that one. Install a bootstrapper. There should be very few options left on here. So it's the bootstrapper for .NET Tool and Mac OS. So if we do that, it should be a much truncated version that's just doing .NET Tool Restore and .NET Cake. And then if we get rid of this one and do this, install a bootstrapper, and then we look at the PowerShell one, it should be a much trimmed down version as well, which is essentially doing .NET Tool Restore and .NET Cake. Good stuff. What else? So let's go to our build.cake file and let's go at the first line here and we say cake, install an add-in from NuGet, cake dot, let's do one of Nils's ones, 7-zip, yes, and then let's install that one, success, wrote 7-zip to there, happy days, and then I think that's just restored it. Oh, look at that, almost like we planned that. And then if we do another cake, which is for add a module, so if we do cake.build systems, then I want that one, and let's not go for the RC, let's go for 3.1. So that did its stuff there, happy days. And oh, interesting. That didn't do the same thing with modules. Oh, maybe that's why then. Add module, build systems. I was going to say it didn't add it in, but maybe that's why it didn't. it's not automatically updating it. But maybe it doesn't. Maybe it can't. Let's test the same thing with the tool. So cake, add tool from NuGet. Let's do cake dot. What do we want as a tool? Add in. Which one would we do here? Well, let's do git version. That's maybe as good a one as any then. Hold on then. Let's try and keep to the 7-zip dot command line. Oh, did I do that wrong? It's coming from NuGet? Well, it's maybe not. Oh, you're thinking that's from Chocolate, right? That's not going to work. Well, not in this dialogue anyway. Let's just do what I was thinking about before. So let's do git version dot tool. Let's do that one. Latest one. Tool, NuGet, git version dot tool. Happy days. And then what else is there in here? Add sample build.cake file. Oh, there was a hyphen. Of course there was. And let's just call this test.cake. And then we get a bunch of stuff. Happy days. Okay. Close. Delete. So what happens then if let's keep that open. Let's go ahead and run this task now. I sort of expect those tools and those modules to be resolved. There we go. Add-ins, modules, git version.tool. That's actually wrong, but that's not necessarily the add-in's fault. Let's do that again, because that really should have been tool. I don't know how it would know that, so I can't really fault it for that. So let's run that again. Because then it resolves it and creates a shim into the local store. That's better, I think. Although, yes, there's the shim. I was looking for the shim in the wrong place. Okay, I'm happy with that. So from a functionality point of view, Nils, and anyone else that's following along, I think all the functionality of the cake extent. Oh, we haven't tested that one. We should test that one, see what it does. So let's do this. Let's nuke everything. Delete, delete, delete. And you know what? Let's just delete them all. Delete. Delete. Let's see what cake install workspace does. So we're going to create a build.cake file. Yes. Do you want to install bootstrappers? Yes. Oh, we need to take that one out. That's why we test things. So what does that say? Cake runner. Cake runner for .NET framework. Need to remove that. So we're going to say cake.NET global tool. Do you want to install a cake.config file? Yes. Do you want to install dependencies needed for debugging your script? Yes. So successfully installed cake to the current workspace. Add a new debug configuration. Add a new cake debug configuration to get started debugging your script. Where does that come from? Add a new, it said. Okay, we'll check to see what it was doing. I know what it's telling us to do. I just don't understand for why. I want to test that. So if we go back over to here and we do a wee search for runner for this one. Runner type, we don't want that one. So what happens? What happens if there's only one option? Does it continue to show it? If it does, I don't think we need it anymore. So let's do that one more time. So we'll nuke these ones from orbit again. And we'll do F1, install a workspace. Yes, yes. Oh, then it broke. Well, that's not good. I think we broke something. So that was in the code lens install actions. Yeah, but I would have expected it to. I would have expected it to not fail like that. But okay. Bootstrappers, fine. That's NetTool, so that one exists. Fine. Fine. Enums on our type. Our type. I think it's in here. Show quick pick. It's going to be in here, isn't it? I don't think we need the quick pick anymore. Yeah, it's here, look. Don't think we need this one. Well, we don't need it. But we don't need the quick pick, I don't think. So the question becomes, what do we do instead? Do we just remove the get bootstrapper option? Where's that called from? Return get bootstrapper option. Yeah, that was my thought too. If install bootstrappers, return get bootstrapper option, and that returns what does it return? It returns function. This is where I get lost in the venables and all that sort of stuff. return ops. That's what's getting returned with the value. So it's taking the input options, it is getting those back, and then it's setting that based on what the return type was. So what we then just want to do then is return promise dot resolve. That didn't work. Return promise dot resolve install ops, and we're going to say install ops dot debugger type, no, bootstrapper type, sorry, bootstrapper type equals, then it wants the enums, which is runner type dot net tool, I think. And then get rid of all that sort of stuff. And then I may need to do enums. There we go. Right. And then where we did function get that, this can all come out. Now, did we do the same for this one? Return debug option, because it doesn't have anything other than this now as well. Because enum's debug type is just one thing too. So we can leave the enum in, but I think we need to do the same thing here. So let's make this a bit bigger again. So in here, we can say return promise dot resolve install ops again. And in here, we're going to say install ops dot debugger type is equal to enums dot debug type dot net tool. So that leaves it open for extension again, but we'll make it so that there's only one thing at the minute. So let's take this out, which leaves a worker for get options, show debug type options. Where's that called? Oh. Show bootstrapper type option. I'll get there. Can this be taken out as well? Or is that the thing that we've just changed? That's the thing that we've just changed. Right, okay. Right, okay. I'm okay with leaving that in, I think. Or do we need to completely remove that? No, because we've removed the show option. We've removed the quick pick, which means it won't show it anymore. And we're just going to set it. So it leaves the flow there. This is part of the code that I would want to rewrite with the removal of the promises in favor of async awaits. But that's a job for a different day also. When we have time. Indeed. Indeed. How's Rider coming along? I saw that you've been doing, or something had been updating stuff in Rider extension. I think it was Dependable, or was that you? Okay, so we're back to here, and let's go back to the install to workspace. We're going to do build.cake. Do you want to install bootstrappers? Yes. Do you want to install a cake.config file? Yes. Yes. Look at that. Happy days. Okay, so that part worked. We've got build.cake. We've got the .NET. We've got the .NET Global Tool PowerShell bootstrapper. We've got the .NET Global Tool shell script. We've got the cake.config file that's got stuff in it. Happy days, right? So then I was going to search for add a new. So that is us. So why does it show us that? So that's at the end of the install cake, does all the stuff. It then says add a new cake.debug configuration to get started with debugging your script. Okay. I think that's okay then, because yeah. Why did this one not get hit though? Let's do that one more time. Nils is saying, need to get a release out. I think 2021.3 is due next week. Did you see the announcements from JetBrains about the new IDE? Fleet? Is that something we need to play with? I don't think it is, but I'm just curious. I don't even know what it is, to be fair. Oh, you've registered already, have you, Nils? Better than Twitter. Let's hope so, Calvin. It's indeed. I had a quick look at the blog post and I had a quick look at the docs just to see what it was. I saw Jeffrey Huntley tweeting to Hadi about various things for, I'm guessing for Gitpod integration to see what it does there. I've not actually played with JetBrains Space. I've signed up to Spaces or Spaces, but I've not played with it. C# is not supported in the first version, so we can. That's true. I saw that it was on the. It was a picture. It was that there was an icon in the blog post, which immediately thought, oh, that is supported. But then I read it properly, and it did say in a different section that it wasn't supported. Let's do this again. So we're in here. So if install ops install debug is true, yes. If install debug is .NET tool, yes. Then why did I not see a? Oh, it's a log. It's not a show. So that just means it goes to the console then. Oh, wrong F11. F11 doesn't work on Mac when you're doing this. Step into, step over, log. Yeah, okay, so it's just logging to the output. That's fine, okay. So if we go back and we look at the output log, then we would have seen something in here from hopefully Cake that said yes. Okay, fine. I'm curious to see how their C# support stands up against VS Code and Omnisharp. Yeah, me too. I'd be very curious. It'll be interesting to see how it all pans out. Because I noticed that I think I'm right in saying now that Gitpod is now making use of VS Code in the browser. It's just that it's pointing to different places now. Whereas Gitpod, I think, started out with their own implementation, but they've since switched to VS Code based on what I was reading. So, be interesting to see what the JetBrains offering does. Here we go. So I wasn't lying. I noticed, Nils, am I right in saying, Nils, that you're using Gitpod on some of your Cake add-ins? I noticed that you were playing around with a gitpod.yaml file. We might need to have a chat about it. Because I've recently signed up. Did you see the tweet from Jeffrey, Nils, about getting open source maintainers plan for Gitpod? He's offering that to all Cake maintainers. Did you see that one? If you haven't, you should go and find it. Because I know that Patrick signed up and I've signed up. And I was going to take the Chocolatey Docs for a spin. Because I've got Chocolatey Docs running now on GitHub Codespaces and locally with a dev container.json file. So I'm going to take it for a spin on Gitpod to see if I get the same functionality. He was saying that at the minute Gitpod doesn't understand a dev container.json file, but there is a work item to for it to pick it up and do stuff with it. But for now, there is a requirement to have a gitpod.yaml file in situ to make it work. So I need to go and play with it. And you wrote to him, okay, cool. Because that's something I don't know when I'm going to do that. I don't know when I'm going to do that, but it's on my list of things to do because I would like to get it to work. I said to him, I'm using the Chocolatey Docs as a testing ground for various things because, like I say, it's a static website. What I've got running in GitHub Codespaces now is static running with preview.sh in GitHub Codespaces and locally in a dev container running through Docker Desktop, and it all just works. I want to see if I can get the same thing running in Gitpod as well. Okay, so that's working. I think this is it working then. Oh, no, sorry, that's a lie. There was one other thing. There was a to-do item that I was going to look at, which was, there's more than I thought that there was in here. What does this to-do say? Should probably do something more here. Nope, not today. Should probably do something here. Yeah, no, not today. To do, the URLs won't change every 5 minutes. What does that mean? Should we cache the call to the services? No, not today. It must be this one then. So what we've got at the minute is that if I set a breakpoint here and hit F5, then I think the way we left it is that every time the extension is activated, it downloads the cake.bakery nutkeg and extracts it, which is not necessarily what we want. But I also didn't see it doing that there. Activating extensions. No, it is. So in here, it's going to get into here then, isn't it? Yes. Okay. So it's doing the download when it doesn't need to. So we need to check that that nutkeg exists. And if it does exist, then we need to not do anything with it. So extract to here, function location is in there, but if we do this and we say here and get this, then extension path is there and then into cake.bakery. So that's the destination path. Oh, so how do we know the So that's why so that I set the breakpoint there just to prove that it was happening. But no, absolutely right. We should do it well before this point. I'm just trying to figure out how to figure out that it's there. because the to do was here. The to do is here. So we should really put a check in here and only do the download, or basically only do all of this if that nupkeg doesn't already exist. But what I was thinking is whether we need a force parameter to the download and extract, and that's why I was going into the downloading and extract, because or then we wouldn't need that if we do the check there, because what we've got at the minute, let's do this again. How we've left it is that on initial activation we want to do the download, which is fine. Actually, that is downloading it to the wrong place at the minute. No, okay, because that's where the extension path is. And on a real life system, that will be somewhere else. What we have at the minute is that on initial activation, if the nupkeg exists, we don't want it to download. But if we come into, let's come out of there. If we come into here and we say cake, where was it? Update IntelliSense support. Then at that point, we do want it to go into here, because essentially what we're saying is update cake.bakery as a forcing the update to the latest version. So we do want it to go into there in that scenario. So what I was worried about was potentially passing in a parameter to the download and extract, which was the force option. But if we do the check before we even get into here, then I think we're okay. So what we're checking for, though, is the presence of the nupkeg. But we've also just deleted it. Did we do that as part of the cleanup? .7-zip. No, so where did the nupkeg go? Oh, it's a buffer. So the nupkeg doesn't actually exist. So do we just check for the presence of the folder? Yeah, I think we've come to the same conclusion, I think. So in cake.bakery, in the tools folder, there's a cakebakery.exe. Now that is a shim. That's the shim that Matthias created. So if there is a cake.bakery /tools/cake.bakery.exe, then we don't download. I think that makes sense. So I'm just pondering some stuff. Bakery get target. What does that get us? I should check this as well. See how close that gets us. So into here, install a workspace, F10. So target path. Oh, look at that. That's exactly what we want. We've already got the exact path that we want. Did I start doing this? Where's target path used? Oh, because we need that for updating the Omnisharp configuration file. Of course we do. So we can say if fs dot exists synchronously target path. No, if it doesn't exist, then we can do a wee download. No, let's at least keep it consistent. Oh, I've not got a semicolon at the end of that line either. Bad Gary. So the question becomes, do we want to update? We only want to update the config file as well on initial download. So I think we should remove, or not remove, I think we should move all of this up to and including here. Yes. And then we say else. That's else. Where was that log result? Where did it live? Function log result. Is that just a local function? Oh, that's annoying. Logger dot log to output. Where does logger come from? Logger comes from log.ts. That's not good. I just want to put that information somewhere. Logger dot log to output, and all I want to say in here is cake.bakery has already been installed, skipping automated download and extraction. Okay, so then next when we run this, then hopefully we get into here. So let's do a cake, install sample build script. Target path is there. Haha. Okay. Happy days. So then over here, no script name provided. Oh, that's because I jumped over there. I think that's fine. Let's test that again. That was just with my breakpoints, I think. So let's do that again. Install sample. There we go. You can come away. Okay. So then if we do the other test, so we'll come in here and let's do a Omnisharp restart, and then let's get cake.bakery ready to delete, which is here. Delete that quick. Okay, cool. So then if we do an F5 this time around, it should download and extract cake.bakery.exe and have it ready to run. So let's do install sample build.cake. Then it steps into the download. And then at that point, we get to the buffer, lots of breakpoints. So then over here, we can say we want that. And having restarted that, if we come into here and do another information, then we get IntelliSense. Look at that. Beautiful. Okay. I think we're good. Nils, what do you think? Is this shippable? Can we ship it? I think we can. Let's just do some quick tests on this one. Hello, cake. Beautiful. Information. Debug. Oh, Nil said yes. We should absolutely ship it. Nil said yes. Look at that. So now you have 30 minutes to left. That's not a bad idea. Well, no, hold on. Let's stop it with the squirrels, Nils. We need to finish this because the PR is not in a state that it can be put together yet. So we'll have to fix things. So let's. Oh, but hold on. Ooh. So, squirrel time. Just have a quick mention of this. If you haven't already, we should all go and register at 24pullrequests.com. So this hasn't run for a couple of years, but this is an event run by Andrew Nesbitt. I completely blanked his name there for a second. Andrew Nesbitt, or T-Bass on Twitter. It's similar in a sense to Hacktoberfest. The exception being that you don't get a free t-shirt or stickers or a tree planted at the end of it, but it's a bit of fun. The idea is that in the month of December, you do a pull request a day. You can do them more than one a day, obviously, but the idea is that by the end of December, you've contributed 24 pull requests into an open source project. So what went through my head immediately when I said I need to create a pull request was, hold on, let's do it on the 1st of December, but that's just cheating, really. But if you haven't done so already, go and sign up, and then you'll be able to have your contributions counted, and then hopefully end of December, end of December, you have contributed 24 pull requests. Don't get a free t-shirt, but you get bragging rights on the internet, and you get internet points. So Andrew hadn't been able to run it the last couple of years, but prior to that, I think I participated in a few of them. It's just a bit of fun. Go and check it out. Squirrel over, but let's get this PR to a point that it is somewhat better than where it is just now. So let's do some tidy up work. So let's Omnisharp. Let's restart the Omnisharp server again and delete cake.bakery because we don't need that one just now. And then let's see what we need to do. So there's a bunch of changes in here. So let's just say rebase away. Let's do that. Yes. Okay. So let's go to here. CD into C. GitHub. Organizations. Not chocolatey. That's force a habit. Cake hyphen VSCode. So let's just push it up so that we've got it. Push it up to our origin, and then we'll nuke it. So let's do a git rebase interactive on. Where do we do this? I think it's against develop. Let's check. Sure. Work in progress. Oh, there's lots of update. Oh, we should do all those. Develop, it was develop. So git rebase interactive on develop. Let's just do, let's just fix that one up just now. Let's do that, make it into a single commit, git reset head squiggly. Okay, that gets us back to a known starting point, which is all the changes that we currently got. And then let's look to see what we did. And then let's consolidate them into a better structure. So I think we created an issue for this. If we didn't, we should have. So let's have a look. Enable IntelliSense without having to open a folder. What does that? I'm just looking through the issues that are open to see if there's actually one for this. Currently, in order for IntelliSense to work, a user must open a folder in VS Code, which is not always what's desired in some common day-to-day scenarios. It's easy to drag and drop a build.cake file from Windows Explorer when the user wants to make a simple change. It's easy to type code build.cake from a command prompt when the user wants to make a simple change. In both scenarios above, the user is required to open an entire folder with tens of hundreds of... Right, we're not doing that today, Nils. No. Here it is. Augusto, ship cake.bakery with the cake.vscode extension. So that's not strictly true what we're doing. We're downloading it. With IntelliSense being the main appeal feature of VSCode Extension, it would make sense to ship any prerequisites for the IntelliSense to work out of the box as soon as the extension is installed. So that's essentially what we're doing. We're not shipping the nutkeg inside the VSCode extension, but we are enabling it straight away. Relate discussion about shipping bakery in different ways. Some questions. Do we need a bakery.net tool separate from... Should we ship core common assembly? We've already done that one. Should we try our best to detect which runner and version is being used? Lots of comments in there. But, oh, we've already got an open milestone for VS Code. Hold on. What are we doing there? I should do some of this on the screen. Sorry. In fact, let's just do it on screen so that we can tidy some of this up. So github.com/VSCode. I'm not signed in. That's going to be annoying. I'm going to pull this off screen a second so I can put my details. GitHub. This one. Then I'm going to need my authenticator code. Bear with me 1 second. It's there. Okay, cool. Let's back up here. There we go. So over here in issues, Augusto had created this ship cake.bakery with the VS Code extension. So that's the one that we're doing. So I'm going to say assign myself. It's an improvement, and I went to add it to a milestone, but then I saw that we've already got a 101 milestone. So we should go and check to see what's in there already. There's 3 open. Move chocolatey package into this repo. Add chocolatey. Okay. So what we're going to do there then is we're going to click on milestones, and we're going to edit this to be a 110 because we're adding features. Then we can go over here and we can look at this one. Oh, so it's maybe not that one. Enable IntelliSense automatically. Depends on 514. Okay, fine. Okay. Okay, so I think we can do both of these then. So let's do this. Let's add this to the 110 milestone. And then let's go to here and add this one to the milestone also. Okay, and then let's see what else there is. Fix IntelliSense not working sometimes when it cannot find the cake.exe.global tool. Okay, that one. I forget why we were doing this, but Pascal was involved in that, so we can have a chat with Pascal about it. Okay, but anyway, so this is, so there's two separate issues. There's 5.1.5.1.5 and 5.1.4. 5.1.4 is about automatically downloading, and 5.1.5 is about enabling it. So the enabling is really the updating of the configuration file, the updating of the Omnisharp configuration file. So we'll keep that in mind as we're going through the commits, because we will split those out. So this is going to be a main commit, add npm log to .git ignore, just tidy that one up. So we're on a branch, I think. Yes, we are. So let's do that one. What else have we got? So what have we got? Some of these are documentation changes. So oh, we can take that part out because we don't need to do that anymore. So we can reset that one. Don't need that. So this is all about getting it installed. So let's do that one first. So we'll add that in. That's all about getting it installed as well, because that is for updating it. Turn true. Okay, so it's that one. That was really completely separate. That's about removing, we should add an issue for that. Let's do remove support for deprecated cake runners, starting with cake 2.0.0, the full .NET framework runner, as well as the .NET Core CLR runner, including mono, as well as the .NET Core CLR runner, are no longer supported. Options to install and configure these runners within VSCode Extension should be removed. So now that I've done that, I'm going to assign this to myself. This is actually going to be a breaking change now that I've thought about it. So that's going to be a breaking change. We'll add it to this milestone, but we're going to update that milestone to be 2.0. rather than 1.1. So let's do that. That feels better to me. So that then is 591. 591, remove unsupported stuff. Okay, so then back into Git extensions, that's what that part is. This here is the register bakery. And then really we want all of this. So we'll add that in, and then we'll do this part. So we'll leave that part, which is the registration of Omnisharp, which is the separate issue. And then we can, what's the change there? That's just a white space change. That can be a separate maintenance commit. That's all white space changes, fine. Debug task. This is, what we're doing here. This was getting the debugging to work. So that could be a separate issue as well. That was a spelling mistake, and that was that one. Interfaces, show quick pick. That was about removing the, that's a separate one. That's white space, that's a separate one. That's a separate one. Okay, happy with that. Install cake. That was a separate one, fine. This one, completely deleted that. That was about that. That was a typo. That was a typo. That was white space. Okay, fine. So let's do this one. So this is this one, 514, automatically download cake.bakery. When the cake extension, when the cake VSCode extension is initialized, let's immediately download the cake.bakery nutkeg and extract to the extension path. This will only happen if it hasn't already been downloaded. And then what we did, we then said modify the existing install cake.bakery command to update the existing download when required. Okay, so we can do that. Let's go through some of these other ones. Oh, actually, that rebase on last commit. Fine. So then there was some maintenance. Let's do that, and let's do that. That was that one. So basically at this point, I'm just tidying up my commits into something that I can put up as a pull request. So that's a typo. So I tend to do this when I'm making lots of changes, so it's easier to review and easier to look back on to know what was done and why. That's another one that I need to put back in a different place. So this one for me is a maintenance commit. This is fix typo in code. So we changed this, went to this. This is more of an annoyance than anything. So we can commit that. Then I noticed that this one, that one, was this one. I wanted to change rebase on last commit. It's not now the last commit, but I'll know what I mean. Okay, so then those were changing the defaults and removing. So I think we could do this one as a commit. So this is the removing unsupported stuff. So this is 591. So let's go ahead and do this one then. That was an update on documentation, but it can be included in this. That's removing all of those. That's the other issue. That is, oh, that's a white space. Missed that one. Let's do this. That one. That one. Those are all this one. Those were moving of the options, so that one can go in. That was that one. That was that one. That was that one. That's a white space change, and that's changing over. So this is 591. This is remove deprecated runner support. Now in Cake 2.0, several runners have been removed. So we are also removing support for those within the VSCode extension for Cake. Some enums and associated. Thank you very much for the follow, Mike Hunt, appreciated. Some enums and associated code have been left in play for the possibility of future expansion, but for now there is only one option within those enums. Okay, so we can commit that. Then we can say that this one was a white space, that's a white space, and that's a white space. We can say maint remove unnecessary white space because it just bugs me. And then this one we can say is 515. Automatically enable Omnisharp usage. Once downloaded, the cake.bakery.exe can be added to the Omnisharp configuration file so that Omnisharp knows where to find the binary, and then once the file is updated, force a restart of the Omnisharp server so that everything just works. Here we are relying on the fact that any VS Code extension can call a registered command from another extension as long as the name is known. In this case, the o.restart command, which the Omnisharp extension registers. Okay, cool. And then we go over here and we do a git rebase interactive on develop. Dang it. There was a jingle in my ear, Nils, that's how I knew about it. You saw the little floating dude. I don't know why. So I don't know why it started working, and as a result, I don't know why it stopped working. So I don't know is the answer. I genuinely don't know. I really don't. I'm going to pick this one up. I'm going to put him there. And then save that. I never trust a rebase doing multiple operations at the same time. So I'm just going to say that this is how I do it. So then I can rebase those two commits into one. And I have got those running the right way, haven't I? Those were, yes, that was the automatically download bakery and then provide the update command. Yes. So let's do those. That should then get me to a nice point where we have that automatically 591 main. Beautiful. Right. So let's do git push -f. Never do a git push -f at home, kids. Bad things can happen unless you are targeting your own branch, which is what I'm doing here. And I'm targeting my fork, which is origin. Let's do that. And then we should be able to git pr create. And then which should be the base repository used for querying issues. That should be that one. And then the title is automatically install bakery. Provide better integration with cake.bakery. Creating a pull request for that into develop on VS. That's exactly what we do. Then what we're doing is body. We can say E to launch Notepad. Let's do that. And then let's remove some of that. And we're going to say fixes hash 515 fixes 514. And then fix is, not fix, 591. Save that. It is. Submit. Continue in browser. Add metadata. Let's continue in browser at this point. So then I'm going to request a review from Nils. I'm going to request a review from Augusto. And then I'm going to, that should automatically happen by there. Better integration with cake.bakery. here's all the stuff, and then submit. Okay. If you could take a look at that, Nils, and provide some feedback, that would be great. I'm hoping that the PR build succeeds at this point, because I haven't actually built it locally, but that would be great. And at this point, I think we're at a natural stopping point. So if we might need to review some of the 17 pull requests that are for various things. I should probably go through those. Since we're doing a 2.0 release, I think we should probably go through and pull those in, especially since there's some security related stuff in here. We should probably go through and do that, but not today and not tomorrow, because tomorrow's my birthday, so I probably won't do anything tomorrow. But this should give Matthias, if he wants it, this would give Matthias a V6 file that he could install manually ahead of his talk that he's doing on Wednesday, and he would have IntelliSense support out of the box just by adding the extension. So happy days. Right, that's all I've got time for tonight. Oh, hold on, we should check them carefully. Most of them with VS Code template. Most of them came with the VS Code template, I think. Oh, as in whether we don't actually need them anymore. Yes, we could certainly sanitize those if we don't need them anymore. Yep. How would we... Is that not what this depth check... This is something that you added, wasn't it? Is that not what the depth check was? Or am I misremembering something? This one we definitely need, because that's doing the zip and extract that we just saw. It's a PR from Augusto from February. It's a few months old, that one. We should get that one merged in. Oh, Nils is saying well. That's never a good sign. What did I comment on there? Oh no, it's not signed. I remember adding. Okay. We can... Oh, it failed the build. Why did it fail the build? I'm really not in the mood. That should have just worked. Oh no, that's Git version, isn't it? That's Git version. Oh no. Prompt script name is declared. That's TypeScript kicking in. I'll fix the build later. I promise. For now, I'm going to say that that's a good natural stopping point. We failed the build, and it's time to close up for the day. As a recap, where we got to, yeah, it's the linter kicking in. So there's a couple of things I'll need to tidy up. Where we got to is we continued where we left off last stream, which was 2 weeks ago, which was working on the Cake VSCode extension. We've now got it to a point where we've got a PR open on the upstream repository, where we automatically download and install Cake.bakery nupkeg when the extension gets activated. We automatically enable Omnisharp to use Cake.bakery, and we restart Omnisharp on initialization of the Cake extension. We've removed a bunch of stuff, which is the no longer supported portions of the VS Code extension, such as usage of the .NET Core CLR runner and the full-fat .NET Framework version, including mono. So what we've done is we've bumped the next release to be a breaking change, so a 2.0 release of the extension, which kind of coincides with the 2.0 release of Cake. itself, and there's some other work that we need to do in terms of open PRs for Dependabot, including some security updates. But this core functionality is what we were hoping to get, or I was hoping to get to a functional point at the close of play today, which we did. The build is broken, but we can fix that up as we move forward with this. But for now, thank you very much for hanging out. Appreciate it. And I'll talk to you all on the internet. Thank you very much. Talk to you later.